Have you ever noticed that just when your assistant begins stealing the show, you're both on the verge of losing your credibility? Well, that's what Lincoln and Luan found out in the episode I'm going to talk about today. So join me as I, SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. Cue the intro! Today's episode is Funny Business. In this episode, Luan hires Lincoln to be her assistant for her clown business, but he ends up stealing the spotlight away from the actual entertainer at all the birthday parties they book. Although the previous April Fool's Day episode from earlier in the season put Luan in a bad light, this episode put her in a very good light, and it's undoubtedly one of my favorite episodes where she's in the lead. In fact, I liked both her and Lincoln in this episode because they had some great bonding moments as sister and brother, especially at the end when they were laughing and falling on the whoopee cushions, and how neither one of them was truly an antagonist. You actually feel bad for both characters as the story plays out. You feel bad for Luan because she's a professional entertainer with lots of experience, and yet she gets overshadowed by her very inexperienced and one-note joke brother. I think we can all sympathize when someone less experienced than us gets the kind of recognition they technically don't deserve, while you, on the other hand, rightfully deserve it. Luan does, however, sympathize with Lincoln at the end by saying she shouldn't have been so harsh in criticizing him because she knew how good it felt to get her first big laugh as a performer. You also feel bad for Lincoln because even though he got a huge ego when he started to believe he was really good at making little kids laugh, with lots of proof to back up his claim, his newly discovered shtick of only doing pratfalls was not going to work on much older kids, and he knew right then and there he was definitely not on Luan's level. My only little nitpick regarding the dramatic change in birthday party environments was how the crowd went from being regular 4 and 5-year-olds to emo tweens in middle school. I got the idea on what the writers were going for, but a sudden shift in audience demographics such as that seemed a little too much, and they could have settled on kids who didn't look so depressed, but like I said, it's only a small nitpick. Lincoln's act for those tweens was flopping in the worst way, and he was forced to admit he had no idea what he was doing and should have listened to Luan that getting a few laughs because of one repeated gag doesn't make him an expert on clowning. Originally, Luan was going to leave Lincoln to fail on his own so he could learn his lesson the hard way, but I liked how she still showed up to save both him and her business from getting a bad reputation. She had Lincoln following her lead like the assistant he was supposed to be all along by performing an act very different from the kind they were doing in the beginning. Apparently, emo tweens love mimes, so Luan proved that as an expert entertainer, you have to know what a specific audience is going to respond to. The only other thing I will say regarding these emo kids is how this episode introduced the one-off character named Maggie. All I'm going to say is ever since this episode, the fandom has not only made her into one of the most commonly drawn recurring characters, but for some reason they also like to ship her and Luan as a couple. I seriously do not understand why they're shipped together. There was never a moment in the episode that even remotely suggested anything romantic was going on between them, and yet they are paired together by many artists. Just for the record, I am not trying to disrespect any artist, and I'm certainly not criticizing their work either. I just don't understand why Luan x Maggie is a thing. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm going to say about it. Overall, this episode was a great showcasing of Lincoln and Luan bonding as siblings, and it teaches the lesson that not everyone is an expert at certain things, and how sometimes you find out real quick what happens when you think you're more than what you actually are. Lincoln proved to be a better assistant than any of his other sisters, and Luan learned to not hold a grudge on someone who just wanted to have their moment in the spotlight just like her, even if the rookie didn't really pay the same amount of dues like the expert did. In short, it's an episode where both main characters technically come out as winners with each learning a lesson, and so you're left with a happy ending for everyone. With that said, I give Funny Business a 9.6 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Funny Business. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.